Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we've got a little bit more data mining to do today. You see, this flag has recently appeared on the forums and so on and is in fact in Warhammer 3. It's a Cathayan faction which isn't in the main game as far as I've seen, but has generated a lot of interest mainly because of its design, as many are linking it to the Monkey King, and I can see why, but I've had a little look through the files just to see what this could be, just in case they left a name on it and so on, and there's a bit to discuss. So first up, this faction is indeed in-game, but only in multiplayer or versus AI battles, as you can change your color through the little arrow keys up there and change your faction look and so on. This is just so you can have loads of people playing the same faction and not everyone's looking exactly the same way. And the interesting thing is that if you mouse over it, you can get the faction name too, which is the Eastern Riverlords. A rather interesting thing is right now they're not in the main campaign, and well, we don't have Eastern Cathay at the very moment. Now, likely this is something for the future which we'll discuss in a very little bit, but first we need to talk about some data mining. So once again, after getting into the game files, again thanking Xenon from the SFO team, because without him these videos wouldn't really be possible, the folder itself for this faction is labelled as Eastern Provinces, which obviously is kind of interesting considering the fact that we have the northern provinces and we have the western provinces to Xiaoming and Miaoying. So potentially this could be something that they named in an effort to prepare for an eventual map expansion, which we'll get to in a little bit, but to introduce the Eastern Dragon. A lot of people did think, yes, because of the design, once again it could be the Monkey King, but it looks like to be something else, unless they just named it generically. However, normally they do plan these stuff well in advance, and I imagine that the Monkey King would have a different type of style for the flag, I don't know. What's odd is obviously both northern and western flags had dragon symbols on them, whereas the eastern one has clouds, which kind of makes sense as the Eastern Dragon focuses on a very powerful navy, and you kind of need the winds to move your navy. Whether this ends up becoming a minor faction as the Riverlords, or does end up becoming the Eastern Provinces, we don't know just yet, as obviously Creative Assembly aren't going to start confirming anything with this matter until, well, the time comes for a eventual map expansion or DLC. But it is easy enough to imagine that we will get more Dragon Lords for Warhammer, as they have 5 active dragon children, all of which within the territories of Grand Cathay, with Miaoyin at the north, Xiaoming at the west, these are the already playable ones, Yin Yin, the Sea Dragon in the eastern provinces, Liu Dao, the Fire Dragon in the southern provinces, and finally Yuan Bo, the Jade Dragon in the central provinces. There's also Shen Shu, but we don't know exactly what's going on with her as she's tied to the story of Warhammer 3. So I imagine that we would probably get, say for example, Yin Yin and the Monkey King, a non-dragon but something completely different for Grand Cathay as DLC characters, and Liu Dao and, for example, Yuan Bo as just FLC characters. That way the eastern parts and the southern parts of Grand Cathay, which we do know have some extra lore, we haven't had that explored to us yet, and obviously they do have some units that could be tied to them, then those would be the perfect DLC characters. Now, I'm not saying that we need Yin Yin before the Monkey King, likely we're going to get both, it's just, this is my reasoning now. So if we look at the prototype for the Warhammer Immortal Empires campaign, we can see that the map itself is going to be quite large. The orientation for Game 3 itself is done in a angled way, which will allow for Cathay to be expanded, which, if it does so, to add in the eastern and southern provinces in the future. This is why I think Yin Yin is going to be a legendary lord in the future. It will then add in a little bit of Ind and a little bit of Koresh, which could justify that of a race pack for both in the future. So I think that the map itself has been planned in such a way to allow for this, and it's really smart, let's be honest. This adds for the whole of Grand Cathay, this adds for so much. This makes a lot of sense. For example, if you go back to a previous interview of Lawbeard's podcast with myself and Lord Master Sotek, the original one where we went with Andy Hall through a massive lore dump regarding Grand Cathay, a lot of units were mentioned, which could easily be 2, maybe even 3 DLCs. Anyways, this is just a short video as I was really curious about the map itself. A lot of people did message me about it, and it turns out that it's Eastern Provinces. I wonder what this could mean in the future. I mean, it does make sense to have some sort of map expansions, because Cathay is very, very small, like really small compared to what it is in lore, and obviously they want to fit in more characters. They could easily have the dragons moving around, but again, the map is so small when you look at it that there's not really a good place to put a dragon, or even the Monkey King. Either way, the file name of Eastern Provinces and obviously the faction name in-game of Eastern Riverlords is rather exciting as it does show a lot of potential, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion.